Welcome to Magical Women. I'm your host, Connie Boyd, and today we're speaking with the magical Lisa Menna.
There are key moments that I know I was going to be a magician. I had gotten a magic set when I was 10 or 11, and I'd learned all the imp bottle and all the plastic gimmick tricks. And then there was this Peter Rabbit trick, right? And they gave you two paragraphs. The left hand approaches the right finger while the right finger calls it, and it never says, you're not really putting it in the hand. It never tells you what you're going for. It just gives you the move, right? So you're like, what the? I read and I reread and I read and I reread the instructions. And finally I went, oh, you just sneak it. And some bell went bing. And I thought, I like sneaky. Yeah. So it's inherent, I think. Sneaky's pretty fun.
Can you just recap about the Desert Magic Seminar and how old you were and there and that show? Because it's a remarkable story that not very many people have experienced.
Okay, so I have just gotten into magic. I've been doing Lisa Lollipop for like 5 years. I'm 17, and I found close-up magic. Prior to that, I was doing gimmicks tricks from boxes and maybe hot rod or something. And then I met Charles Green, and I became interested and really into magic. So I went to the Desert Magic Seminar. I was a senior in high school, and I had invented a trick, Pac-Mania, because Pac-Man was all the rage, and that's an old video game. So I basically cut a clip out of a sponge ball. And so I tried to sell the trick in Genie magazine because I don't know why. I just did it, right? It seemed important to me to put a trick out. But before it came out, there was this magic convention, and I'd not really been to the magic world yet. I'd found it a little bit, and my parents were going for a convention that weekend to Vegas. So I went to the convention, I entered the contest, and I thought, I'll show off my trick. Everybody will buy it, right? So I'm in the convention, and I'm near the end, and everybody's bored, and I come out, and I'm still playing my Lisa Lollipop the Clown character. And I choose Muhammad Ali. He's in the front row, and he comes up. And I'm like, should I choose him? I don't know. Yeah, okay, I'm going to choose him. So I choose him, and the audience is already like, oh, my God, it's a girl. And then they're like, oh, she picked him. So I shake his hand, and I say, hi, my name's Lisa. What's your name? And he says, Joe Frazier. Yeah, the audience laughs. I shake his hand, and I say, golly, Joe, you sure do have big hands. So then I sit down to do my routine, and the sponge ball routine is each ball has a sound, and it was my birthday party routine, and one goes boing, 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 and the other one goes so I get him to say those terms, and it builds. First I get him to say boing, boing, and before he does, he gives me this look like, okay, kid, we're going to run with this. And so I do my routine, and even though I had the elements of my kids show, I've added some Plato and some Shakespeare because I'm full of my head senior in smart high school, right? And so I'm trying to mix all this depth into my sponge ball routine. And Muhammad Ali keeps giving me these funny jokes and just sending them up, and I'm smashing them home. So we get a standing ovation. We finish it, and he says, oh, and I said to him, I said, Joe, you're the greatest. And he says, no, Lisa, you're the greatest. Oh. And I had just written a letter to David Copperfield asking him to my prom. So with newspaper clippings and everything. And so David stands up and starts giving me a standing ovation, and everybody in the room stood up. And I didn't know anybody, so I didn't know it was Slidini and Vernon and Yanni. Also, the whole magic world's like, look, we have birthed an intelligent woman with her own character and style who does competent sleight of hand, hurrah. And from then it happened. It was amazing how many people offered me things and how well known I was.
It's an amazing story. And you had earned the right, you had over 2,000 performances under your belt by that point in time.
Right, and that's why it worked.
Did you subscribe to our Magical Woman channel? Come on, you can do it. Subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you'll be aware of future Magical Women talks. One of my all-time favorite magic moves, particularly for a woman, is your card and the heel of your shoe. I just love that piece of magic. It's fabulous.
And it's a pocket that we can get to easily. It's very interesting how many things you can take in and out of your shoe if you can just pop your heel out at any time. It's a very interesting thing that men don't use because their shoes don't flip off like ours do.
Right.
I am the most influential woman magician of the 20th century because there were so few of us. And there weren't that many choices. You can't use a jacket or sleeves if you're going to dress like an elegant woman of the modern age as a young girl, at least in the time that I came out. And you can't have extra bumps because they count your bumps. First thing is, let's have a look at her bumps, right? Because it's part of our value system.
Well, and you're really witty and funny. And how important is that to your magic? Has it been from the beginning?
Well, I started performing more. All of my material was developed in front of an audience. I'd stick a piece of material in the middle to bring it up to par after I had practiced the techniques of enough, and I've never scripted. I did a lot of corporate work where I was supposed to say something about the company or say something about the product or whatever, and I'd get that information, and I'd sit on the plane and I'd try to figure out what I was going to do. But I was always last minute, and I never had it scripted, and I thought, oh my God, I'm such a hack. And then one day, I was about maybe 26. Some guy was in my trade show audience like 8 times in a row. Finally, I said to him after the show, I'm like, dude, you want to learn about liquid hydrogenated gallium arsenic chips this much? And he says, no, this is your lucky day. And he hands me his card, and he ran Second City in Chicago. And he said, I'd like you to come join Second City. And I'm like, you would? And he said, yes, you're an improvisational genius. And I said, I am? And he said, yes, I just watched you do 12 shows. You got the same point across 12 times, and you came at it a completely different way. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the guilt of not being ready was gone, because like, oh, wait, no, I have that skill set. As long as I know I need to say clearly for the audience's mind, hold your finger high so everyone can see it, and hand the envelope to the left, I'm fine. The rest of it, I can babble through, and I'm okay. But I do actually find I don't work as much as when I'm old. And I also find that the lexicon of information, which I could riffle through to bring up jokes and things, I have slower access to it with age. So I'm not as funny because the joke has to be there, and now the joke is like, oh, missed the spot, missed the chance. So my timing is not as good as it used to be. I know that, and I see it going. And nobody told me I wouldn't be as funny when I got old.
That's so interesting. And also, I think that being in the now, the fact that you were completely random, making your points, but that you were able to express yourself in different ways, that makes you real. And that's what we strive for.
Well,
and so also, that would account for your success.
Well, and that's true. Authentic. I'm sure that people's, if they were to give my character that they met on stage equality, it would be authentic. But actually it was Johnny Fox. In so much as I didn't realize it till I saw Johnny Fox work many years later, but Johnny was a big influence because he passed through my world in high school at the Renaissance fairs, and he would be very, very serious and then tell a joke, and be very, very serious and then tell a joke. And so I was dressed as a sophisticated woman presenting, and then I would be goofy, right? So I had that giggling witch thing, right? Yeah. And so, but I didn't know it so really. So that brings me to another point. That I'd like to make, since this is directed for women in magic, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people do me. So this is what I'd like to say. If you don't know how to be, and being you is not authentic enough or interesting enough, or it's too vulnerable, that's fine, you can do a character. But pick a character outside of the people that are doing magic. So say, I like Bruno Mars, and pretend to be Bruno Mars when you're doing your magic, right? Because then you don't look like Lance, and you don't look like Copperfield, and you look like Bruno Mars, which is, you aren't going to be cookie cutter. So it's the same with women. Pick an icon that people can recognize you at. Oh, that's a nun. Oh, that's a princess. Oh, that's a genie. And you don't have to actually be garbed up. Just a little nod to it so that you have a little mystery. And copy, if you can't decide how to stand or how to walk, pick somebody that you admire out in the world that isn't a magician. And that all fades away, and you color in who your character is, but you need a starting place. The year that The Prestige and The Illusion came out, you remember those 2 shows? Right. They were both about magicians who presented, with a slight German accent, a scientific thing. And that year at the FISM contest, 1/3 of the acts had chosen that sort of presentation. Right. So there's my advice.
Now, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Come on, you can do it. We need subscribers to obtain more privileges with YouTube. So please, please hit that notifications bell. Spread the word and comment. We love to hear from you.